You need more information here before you react. Stop play if the ball isn't already dead, and then seek the views of both of your assistants. If they were certain this body charge was a deliberate act, then quite clearly you need to show the player a red card for violent conduct. If, though, they cannot be sure, let it go and include it in your report. The authorities may review video evidence.
Welcome back to the Ref Show. The question is for Carlton Palmer and Keith Hackett. I suppose Keith, first of all, is our man Clattenburg going to be refereeing the final?
I'd love to think that would be the case, because I think he's performed extremely well. He's a consistent performer. He ticks all the boxes, and he deserves to get the final. But we're in a tournament situation where if Wales go through, as Carlton has suggested, that might influence whether he gets the final. And we can't underestimate the fact that there are a number of referees. I mean, I think all the referees have done really well at this tournament, but there are a number of them that are truly world-class performers in refereeing terms.
Who would you pick out in that bracket then? The main ones? Maybe Kasai, but he's got a semi-final, Kasai.
Well, Kasai,
and so is Rizzoli.
Yeah,
so.
Well, I mean, you've got Kasai, you've got Rizzola, you've had Kuipers, who refereed quite well, even though it was a quarter-final. He still puts him in the frame. So there are a lot of referees who are in the frame. Bryke's a terrific referee.
His team might be in the final, of course. Germany might be in the final.
Well, in that case, he's no chance. But again, I think that whoever's sitting down, they've got a really nice problem.
Yeah.
And
I think Clattenburg will get it.
Yeah.
As long as Wales don't get there, well, and I want Wales to get there, but as long as Wales don't get there, I think Clattenburg will get it.
And I think that.
He's got a boss who rates him very highly, who moved heaven and earth to get him there, because it's Carlton, it's only one referee per country, and an exception was made to the rule for England to take two, because Atkinson was being sponsored by the FA. So,
well, I just hope that Ellery and Riley and others around the FA camp and the PGMOL at the moment are not basking in the glory of what Clattenburg has achieved. They put their money on Atkinson, and I've said already, he delivered his 3 games, and he delivered and refereed very well. So in their eyes, they're not altogether a loss. But I know behind the scenes, they've worked everything to try and get Clattenburg not to go. That's why I think Kalina deserves the praise, because he knows what quality is in refereeing terms. He selected him, and he went.
And having stuck his neck out so far, that's probably a good reason to say, I'm backing my judgment all the way now.
Well, Kalina will back on performance, make no mistake. He will have looked very carefully at all the performances of the match officials, and Clattenburg has done nothing wrong. He's refereed in outstanding form, but then that's what we've been saying for a number of years. He's our top referee. He's in my opinion, the world's #1 referee, and you can see the competition is fierce. So he should get the appointment. I think it'd be disappointed if he perhaps at this stage doesn't.
It's one of those situations where it's good news for a referee not to get a semi-final, I suppose, because you're unlikely to get a semi-final and the final, I would imagine.
Well, you never know. I mean, look, Kalina's a man on his own. He will put the best man for the job in that appointment. Look, I think there were 1 or 2 in Europe surprised that Martin Atkinson refereed 2 British teams, but he took that risk, Kalina. He didn't see it as a risk, and in fairness, Atkinson delivered.
I do. We'll see what happens. Let's move on to your suggestion to me this week about penalty shootouts, of which we've seen a few, and they've usually followed a pretty sterile and boring 30 minutes of extra time when everybody at home has been thinking, goodness, let's hope there's not a goal now, because we want the excitement of penalties. Do you think, before we go to Keith to push the argument, Carlton, do you think there's a case for that? Just go 90 minutes penalties.
Well, before I just spoke to Keith before we went on air, I wouldn't have agreed. As a player, I would have wanted extra time. But Keith's point of view is very perceptive. He's saying that in extra time there's not many goals anyhow. The players pick up yellow cards, which means they're missing big and important games because they're tired and they're fatigued. So there is a case for what Keith's saying, to go straight to penalties. Because if the majority of the games are going to finish up, go into penalties in any event, and you're picking up yellow cards to key players and they're missing tournaments, then yeah, it's a very valid point.
And look at Germany, Italy. It was the most boring extra 30 minutes you could ever imagine, wasn't it?
Well, what's happened is now teams in that position now have already settled for penalties in their minds. They've settled, so they're not going to be adventurous. They're not going to take that gamble. They've settled. So Keith makes a very valid point. I hadn't looked at it that way.
I think the other side of it is that you also remember you've got a human being in the middle as the referee, and he's fatiguing. No matter how fit these guys have been, and they've been superbly fit, the referees, but there is a piece of fatigue that comes in. And with that, there's, I think, on the odd occasion, we've seen yellow cards being given to players that have been managed in the first opening 10, 15 minutes. Suddenly they're getting them. And I think in the case of Ramsey, when he got a yellow card, I've gone, oh no. Yeah. Because I, you know, at the end of the day, I think he could have managed, the referee could have managed that. He's managed those incidents in the opening stages, referees.
Yeah.
Look, don't start suddenly picking them out, because...
No, we don't want people deprived of seeing a player like him, do we?
No, we don't. And I think the competition is less for it. And obviously, the team suffers. But, you know...
But it's a difficult position for him, Keith, because by the letter of the law, Ramsey's is a bookie.
Correct.
So if he doesn't book him, then we're here criticising him. So we can't say it's late in the game and he's going to miss the tournament. He's done his job.
But it's an argument for having the extra 30 minutes, though, isn't it?
For another show and another day, there's another discussion that says, look, at the end of the day, football is in the entertainment business. And if I'm watching football, I'm likely to get the bigger players removed from this game because of the laws that they have to operate under. If I went to a theatre or I went to any other event, that doesn't happen. And I think it's this balance that, you know, this is massive entertainment, watched around the world. We're all enthralled by what we're seeing. Because at the end of the day...
But then you're coming back to common sense refereeing, but if the referees referee with common sense, they get marked down by the FA and by UEFA.
You know? Imagine Laurence Olivier in years gone by coming on the stage and committing an offence in the first 5 minutes and being sent off when the whole audience...
Well, the other side of it, of course, is that the yellow card in Europe is much more severe. In the English Premier League, in a Premier League, you pick up 5, you live with 5. In a tournament, you know, you've got this damaging effect of 2 yellow cards and you're suspended. Is that right?
Should be 3.
Well, let's go to 3, let's go to 4. The organisers should take that into account.
Yeah, that's true.
Can we just move on to the perception of penalty shootouts, which has changed? I think when they were first introduced, people said, oh, it's a shame, it's a lottery, we shouldn't be finishing a football match deciding a winner with a lottery, but they've become very much part of the skill element of the tournament, Carlton, haven't they?
Well, not just in tournament football, in game situations, FA Cups and whatever, teams practice them all the time. But I tell you now, Alan, you can practice them all you want. When you're in tournament football, FA Cup, European Championships, World Cup, that walk from the middle to take that penalty, you cannot replicate. Look at Ronaldo. How can you say one of the world's greatest players has missed what? The last 5 or 6 penalties he's taken? In precious situations, you know what I mean? So you can't replicate that, and that adds to the drama when we're watching it. You know what I mean? I remember taking one in the semi-final, and mine's still going down the Brummie Road, and now I've cleared the goal, the stone, the lot, mate. Do you know what I mean?
You and Chris Waddle. They've not found either ball yet.
You look at Piercy, you look at Chris Waddle, you know, 2 of the most calmest characters you'd ever wish to meet, and you think, you know... Hey, and by the way, I've played in teams where people, and I won't mention names, who big themselves up. When it comes down to penalties, hey, after you. After you.
John's absolutely right, because I've stood in the middle at penalty shootouts and said, right, who are the names? And I've listened to the manager go, and all ducking the issue. But it is fantastic. I mean, from a refereeing point of view, of course, you see that delaying scenario. And again, I think referees have managed these penalty shootouts really well, because we've not had the goalkeepers going up, taking the ball, doing the whatever, adding to the pressure of the forward.
Oh, it's all entertainment. Anyway, we really enjoyed Euro 16 for various reasons, not least the referees who contributed greatly to the tournament. My thanks to Carlton. Nice to see you again, Carlton, and to Keith as ever. I'm going to be taking a short break. James Gregg will be presenting the Ref Show next week, looking back on the final itself and the competition as a whole with an expert panel. I'll rejoin you with one or two rather different kinds of shows in July. Meantime, see you very soon. Thanks for your company on the Ref Show, and do send in all your suggestions, your queries and your questions to our panel of experts. See you soon. Bye.